To order at 6:33. First, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jackie, can you call the roll, please?
Chairman Klowitter.
He's excused absence.
Commissioner Lee. Commissioner Crapman.
Here.
Commissioner McMorris. And Vice Chair Schwartz.
Here. Okay. Tonight's meeting is live streamed on Cable Channel 3 and on our online platforms. Each commissioner will be called to speak on items tonight, and that'll prevent any, overlapping comments, so you get to hear from everybody tonight. First off is public comment. It's a time set aside for members of the public to address the Planning Commission on items that are not of interest, that are not on the agenda, but are within the subject matter of the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the Planning Commission can't answer questions or take any action until such time as matters may appear on an item on a future agenda. So if you wish to address, please fill out a speaker card that are in the back and submit it to Jackie up front, and you'll be called one by one. So the question is, are there any speakers that want to talk about an item tonight during public comment that's not on the agenda? Okay. All right, the public comment period is closed. Okay, next is a consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine, and recommendations will be approved in one motion unless a member of the commission or the audience requests a separate discussion. Would any of the commissioners like to pull either one of the two items that are under consent tonight? They are the minutes and the
It's the approval of the
plan, so-
capital improvement.
capital
plan.
improvement plan. Thank you. Thank you. So, anybody want to pull either of those items? If not,
This is Commissioner McMorris. I just wanted to pull item, the capital improvement, just to ask a clarifying question. on that.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So let me ask about the minutes. Has everybody reviewed the minutes? And do you have any changes or any comments about the minutes? Okay. Jackie, let's do a roll call on the minutes.
We need a motion.
Hold
and
on, do
second
I have a
first.
motion to approve the minutes?
I'll motion. This is Sean McMorris.
Thank you, Commissioner McMorris. So do I have a second?
Commissioner Lee, second.
Thank you very much. Okay. So let's have a vote on the minutes, please.
Commissioner Lee.
Aye.
Commissioner Crapman.
Abstain.
Commissioner McMorris.
Aye.
And Vice Chair Schwartz.
Yes.
The vote is 3 yes, 1 abstention, and 1 absent, which is Chair Klowitter.
And for the record, the abstention is due to the fact that you were not present at the last meeting.
Thank you for clarifying. So the vote is 3. Motion carried. Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. So the next thing is to discuss the capital improvement program.
There was a clarifying
If
question.
you have questions, please go ahead.
Oh, yes. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding correctly. So it's very detailed, by the way, so I know, thank you, staff. I know this was not probably easy. The total amount funded let's see, it's on page 12. That's what's been funded thus far then, or prior to 2023, 2024? Is that what that represents? It's a table on page 12 of the report.
Which column are you asking?
Oh, yeah,
Commissioner?
it's the column, it says total funded. It's the second column there on the left. That, I just wanted to clarify what that total funded meant, because the total is over 22 million. Is that money that has already been spent, or that's money that's been allocated by the city council for these projects?
The total funded is the total budgeted amount approved by the city council.
Okay. So is it their budget, they budgeted 22 million, and we have, for 2023, 2024, we have a total cost of 60.
16 million worth of projects for upcoming year.
So then there's excess of the amount budgeted, or that's just money that how does that work? Because I see some things that aren't funded in this year that maybe if we have excess money, I was wondering why those weren't funded.
And I don't know the answer to that directly, but generally speaking, it's the amount of work that you can do in a certain period of time. So even though the budget may allow for 22 million, 16 million is something that can be accomplished. Looks like the other 6 million has been moved to the following year.
Oh, so next year, okay. And I just had one more question. The Affordable Housing Development Program, I just wondered, is that like to cover costs to develop the program, or is that something different than like the acquisition of land? I know that we're trying to acquire a property. I'm just wondering what the details for that allocation were specifically for affordable housing.
And what pages?
I'm sorry, this is page 10 on the chart. It's a second to last one. I think it might be for like the property we're trying to acquire for affordable, but I just wanted to clarify that to make, because I was hoping that project was still going to go forward. If you don't know, I guess that's fine. I was just hoping to find out.
I don't know where you are on
Yeah,
the,
page 10 of the report. Yeah, right there, the chart, the second to bottom one there says Affordable Housing Development Program. I just wondered what that entailed, if that was.
I don't know the answer to that. I know the city is in the process of working with the COG on a piece of property, so that might be it.
Okay. All right. Those were all my questions.
Vice Chair, if I may, I would like to go a little bit more detail on the allocations and appropriations.
Yes, Commissioner Lee and members of the commission, the item this evening is for general plan consistency of the programs identified. When it comes to the funds and the values assigned to each program, that's still being discussed with the City Council. They've just gone through their study session. If there are clarifying questions as it relates to the amounts identified and allocated, staff would be happy to follow up with any emails that the Planning Commission would like, or otherwise the commission can follow the City Council meetings as the budget discussions and sessions and study sessions continue with the City Council as well as the community. So the item this evening is to not get into the details of the funding itself, because that is still in discussion. These are just, this is a draft. What is being reviewed this evening would be consistency of the programs as it relates to the general plan and the goals and the targets identified in the general plan, specifically the projects related to improving street conditions, traffic signals, the storm drains, and public facilities such as the police station and the fire station. and that it is consistent with meeting the goals of achieving those types of programs through the capital improvement programs.
Sure, sure. So if that's the case, then I just want to like general comments and then contributes for the discussions, right? So we are looking at like street improvement programs, but I don't see, maybe somewhere else it is embedded for like maintenance and like preventive like preservation measures, right, in the programs. But right here is just a general terms that I don't see nothing. It is just a allocated and appropriated like $60 million, whatever that is amount is, right? But all the capital improvement programs, the maintenance is the key for the success, right? So if we don't have a good maintenance programs, it is a failure from the day one, right? So it would be good discussions for all of us as a city to kind of like put in money aside for the maintenance programs, and then like for preventive or preservation measures, right? So that is for the streets. I was looking through the package, and then for the traffic signal improvements, I don't see any maintenance or anything, the same thing, right? We are talking about like adapted signals, but these adapted signal programs are very heavily reliant on the sensors and the equipments. If we don't have money set aside, that program doesn't make sense at all, right? So if we have to go back and then like tune up the equipment, if the equipments fail, we have to replace it. So I would like to put it in the discussions materials if we move forward with this. Same thing goes to storm drains and the sewer system, right? So those are like maintenance is not a big issue after we put it in, but monitoring and then a routine check. So the key issues for its success. And other public facilities are the same thing, right? We need to put the money aside for maintenance and then so forth, right? So that is the thing that I want to emphasize on, making sure we put the money aside for the maintenance.
Yes, Commissioner Lee, just a quick response. What we can do this evening is capture that within the minutes to be forwarded to the City Council for their consideration. The programs identified are broadly identified. They do not get into the details of the programs themselves and whether or not maintenance is factored into it. But the Planning Commission's comments this evening will be forwarded to the council as they consider the programs and the funding for it.
Awesome. Lastly, before I forget, I was looking through the program. Some of the signal equipments that we are talking about, it is adding a right turn lanes, right? I just want to make sure that if we put in those right turn lanes, in the near future, we end up reversing our decisions and then spending a lot more money to reverse that decisions. The reason what I'm saying is there is a movement, national movement, that the pedestrian safety, right, crosswalk with reductions of the crosswalk width, right? So if we do move forward with reducing the sidewalk, right, and then adding the right turn lanes, we are going against with the national movement, right? So I would just want to make sure that we think about that. We also kind of like move forward with whatever the national movement is going, right? So we don't want to reverse, spend millions of dollars right now, and then later on down the road, a few years back, we reverse our decisions and then, waste some money.
If I may, Chair, excellent comments. One of the things to keep in mind is that the capital improvement program is a 35,000 feet flyover. It gathers the funding and identifies certain projects. As these projects are being put in front of the council for approval, for design, for bidding, for going out to bid, those comments are then significant at that time. When the council is dealing with a particular specific project, we're going to take this one street and add a right turn lane to it. That's the project that's being discussed and designed. That's the time where these type of specific project-related comments have the best chance of landing on the right ears.
So what I wish is that the meeting minutes will be forwarded to the council, and then they look at it, and then if they can think that should be a scope change, right, to the project, so be it.
If there are no public comment on
Are
the
there any
item,
other
a
comments
motion
from
would
the
be
council?
appropriate.
From the commission, all right. We need a motion to approve the capital improvement program, the consistency with the general plan.
I move to approve.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second. Just clarify, will Commissioner Lee's comments then be in, okay.
Okay, excellent. So Jackie, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Commissioner Lee,
Condition on the, my comments been forwarded to the council, aye.
okay, that's an aye. Commissioner Kropman,
Yes.
Commissioner McMorris,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Schwartz.
Yes,
Okay, the vote is 4-0. Motion
thank you.
carried.
Motion passes, thank you. All right, it's time for the public hearings. Public hearings for tonight. We'll have Planning Manager Samantha Tweesart. If you would, go over the public hearing procedures for tonight, please.
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair. As mentioned by the Vice Chair before, copies of the agenda are available this evening on the city's website at www.sangabrielcity.com, and also on the table that is by the entrance. Similarly, if anybody is speaking on an item this evening and you are not the project applicant, please fill out a speaker slip, identify the project address and the agenda number, and also your name. And each speaker will be called up one by one to the podium to speak and will be given up to 3 minutes. There are 3 public hearing items this evening to be considered by the Planning Commission. And for each item tonight, staff will provide a summary of the staff report, followed by any qualifying questions from the commission. And the applicant will be given a chance to also present if there is a presentation, or to address any questions from the commission as well. Prior to the close of the public hearing, the commission may ask additional questions of staff or the applicant. However, once the public hearing is closed, the opportunity for any public comments has ended. And once the public hearing portion is closed, the item will then move into commission deliberation. And so with that, Vice Chair, staff is ready to present item 3A.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 3A, 1526 Stevens Avenue, planning case number TMAP 2202, tentative track map, applicant Eric Sang, and the presentation will be made by Associate Planner Anthony Alvarado.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair and Commissioners. Good evening. The first public hearing item before you tonight is a request to approve a tentative track map, map number 83640, for the development of a 5-unit condominium subdivision at the address 1526 Stevens Avenue, planning case number TMAP 22-001. The project site is located along the west side of Stevens Avenue, between South New Avenue and, between West Newby Avenue and Valley Boulevard, located to the south. The property is developed with 3 multifamily homes and is surrounded by other multifamily homes to the north, south, east, and west of the subject site. The property is zoned RNC within the Valley Boulevard Specific Plan, which stands for Residential Neighborhood Conservation. However, the underlining zone is R3, so the R3 development standards would apply for this proposed project tonight. This slide is an image of the proposed tentative track map for the project. With the approval of the tentative track map, it would allow for the subdivision of airspace to allow the applicant to sell the 5 units individually as rather than selling it as one whole lot. This slide shows the proposed project as it aligns with the R3 development standards. The column in the middle are the R3 development standards as it's listed in the code, and the column all the way to the right is how this project is currently proposed. Everything for all the development standards are met with the exception of the side and the rear yard setbacks, which I will be touching base on as they have been items that the applicant has requested concessions or incentives on based on the fact that this is an affordable housing project. This is a rendering of the proposed project. It's a contemporary style, and since it is 5 units, this would require Design Review Commission approval. This item has not been scheduled for the Design Review Commission as of yet, but it will go to a future meeting. Okay. And as mentioned before, this project is an affordable housing project. Per California Government Code Section 65915, the code allows for up to 2 development concessions or incentives when a project provides 20% of the units at an affordable rate to be moderate income level. Since the project is proposing 5 units, 4 of those will be at market rate, but there is going to be 1 which is sold at a moderate income. That would meet the 20% threshold. The developer and applicant have provided reasoning for their cost reductions as to why they are requesting these incentives. This was called out in attachment B in the concession letter that was provided as part of your attachments tonight. And as mentioned, the developer is eligible per the California Government Code for these incentives. This project was reviewed and found to be consistent with the general plan per Housing Goal 2.1 and Housing Goal 2.2. This project was also found to be in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act and is found to be exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act per guideline section 15332, class 32 for infill development. Noticing for tonight's meeting was required for the proposed project and was done in the following ways. Mailed notices were sent out to property owners and tenants within a 500-foot radius of the project site, as well as having the notice shown on the screen posted at the job site. The notice was also advertised in the April 27, 2023 issue of the San Gabriel Sun newspaper, and agendas for tonight's meeting were posted at the City Hall, Post Office, San Gabriel Public Library, and on the city's website. In order to approve a tentative track map, the Planning Commission must find that if a project is not able to meet one of the requirements, then they have to find that they have to rule that it is denied. However, based on the application, staff is unable to make any of the findings for denial. So with that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of San Gabriel, California, approving planning case number TMAP 22-001 for a tentative track map, number 83640, at the address 1526 Stevens Avenue, to allow the development of a 5-unit condominium subdivision development, subject to the recommended conditions of approval. This will conclude staff's presentation for this item. Staff is available for any questions that the commission may have. And we also have the project applicant here as well that is also available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Before we hear from the applicant, commissioners, do you have any questions for Anthony? Any clarifying questions you have for staff?
This Vice Chair, this is Commissioner Lee. I just have a quick clarifications.
Go ahead, please.
So has it been reviewed by police and fire yet?
Yes, this project was reviewed by all the reviewing departments, so that would include planning, building, police, fire, and public works.
Okay. What about the other commissions, like the facade or the look of the buildings, right? Has it been reviewed by other commissions? Like, we are here to preserve the character of the San Gabriel, right? So I just want to try to understand, has it been reviewed by other commission, and then has it been aligned with our goals with the preserving the character of the San Gabriel? Because it is a contemporary. That got me a little concerned that we are moving to different directions with the facade and the look of the buildings.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Lee. So this project, being that it is 5 units, would still have to go to the Design Review Commission for approval. So the Planning Commission is not approving the actual design of the project tonight. It's just a tentative track map. For the design, the architectural style, everything like that is going to be something that the Design Review Commission is going to either approve, deny, or continue. That meeting hasn't been scheduled yet. It is going to be in the future. But yes, this project will not be able to move forward without their approval. And additionally, the city architect has reviewed this project a couple times. And actually, this project, a earlier iteration of it actually went to the Design Review Commission already. It was with a previous architect. It was before they were looking to subdivide the units. They were looking to run them as an apartment development. So that's the reason why this never came to Planning Commission. However, since the developer acquired a new architect, that's kind of where the plans changed, and they look to subdivide it and sell them separately now. But yes, this one still would have to go to Design Review Commission.
Okay, I have a few more questions, but I'm gonna give a turn to other commissioners, and
Thank you.
Clarifying questions on the affordable housing agreement. I don't know if now's the time to ask that or after they close public comment.
This would be the time for questions for staff and the city attorney.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify regarding the 45-year covenant. That kicks in on initial first sale of the affordable unit, and then it's 45 years thereafter. It doesn't re-up every time it's resold, does it? I would assume no. I just wondered if.
It is no, yeah. It's for a period of 45 years, no matter how many owners there are.
I had a question about on page 6 of the affordable housing agreement, the last sentence on bullet point 10A, it says the 45-year term may be reduced if an appreciation share in a sale is provided to city as described in the pre-purchase or affordability agreement. I just don't know what that means, because if they're saying that the 45-year term can be reduced, I'm just wondering why that would be and under what circumstances.
Generally speaking, a term can be reduced by, usually it's actually an unauthorized sale, where a city would then, if a owner sold a unit to a non-qualified buyer without regard for the agreement or without city's knowledge, city would be in a position to basically take any excess funds that the seller received over the price of affordable housing and use those funds for other affordable housing projects. But that would, in effect, make that term shorter for this particular unit.
So the city has no recourse if the unit is sold at market rate, and doesn't that break the 45-year covenant?
It does, yes. The city has recourse. The recourse is an action and recovery of the funds that are in excess of the price that it would have been under an affordable housing program. So if the unit should sell for $150 and sells for $300 on a market rate, city is in a position to recover that $150,000 from the seller and use that in another affordable housing project. I have never seen it happen in 37 years of practice because the affordable housing agreements are recorded on title, and there is no way a title insurance company would provide title in such a situation.
So I understand then that we would be able to recover costs, but why would the covenant be null and void? Why wouldn't we continue to enforce, once we recovered costs, why wouldn't we continue to enforce a covenant that has to continue?
Because the buyer is innocent, generally speaking. They don't know.
Okay. Thanks for that clarification. The only other question I had might have been for the project developer. I just wondered if there were homeowner fees. And
Let's ask for the developer to come up and
is that
speak.
next? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
After we're done with any questions for Anthony, we'll ask to hear from the developer.
I have no questions.
Okay.
Vice Chair,
Go ahead.
if I may,
Sure, please. Mr. Commissioner Lee.
I just want to have a couple questions on Exhibit 1. I believe somewhere in there talk about street lighting and pedestrian lighting installations, right? Is it city policy that we are asking the developer to install like streetlights and pedestrian lights?
Yes, that's correct, as a condition of the project construction.
But in the second development, I don't see that attachment in there, so I assume that it is the same?
There should be conditions of
Yeah.
approval.
That should probably be addressed when that project comes
Yeah,
up.
exactly.
Okay.
Let's hold off until the second project is
Okay.
discussed.
Just for the staff, just want to ask that, I don't know, I was going through the materials and I'm not sure this building or the next building, right? We are going to demolish a few trees on the lot, right? Would that be too much to ask, like to replace the tree that we removed, be replanted or replaced it on the sidewalk?
Thank you, Commissioner. Let me actually go to the aerial view. So I don't believe that that's for this project. That might be for the next project with the trees. You could see the site on the image above. It doesn't look like there's very much greenery. Yeah.
So would have been the next project, right?
Well,
And then
let's wait for the next project.
additionally, the in the exhibit, we talk about sidewalk, curb and gutter, driveway approach, right? So it is the general terms over here, right? In what part of our process, approval process, like we determine how much sidewalk and how much gutter or how much public right-of-way improvements is going to be responsible for the developer.
So this is something that, the plans were reviewed by Public Works during the entitlement phase. But as some of the conditions of approval call out, there's going to be other plans such as the demolition plans, erosion plans that are submitted during building plan check. So that's what Public Works will use to review and determine what kind of almost mitigations or things need to be addressed by the developer during the construction phase. So that's usually done during the building plan check.
And Chair, if I may, to dovetail on what Anthony said, condition 53, in the Public Works condition, design and construction of all public improvements shall be in accordance with American Public Works Association standards and city codes. So that's the condition that guarantees that whatever public improvements are put into place by the developer are consistent with city codes.
That's a Roger, but this is just a general term, right? So, but when we go out there do the constructions, you have to know like how much feet of the sidewalk has to be removed and then replaced, and how much gutter, and then it's right. So that has to be determined along the way during the process. That's what I'm trying to understand is like in that process, when are we going to determine that, right? So.
Inspections.
Yeah, and I think we do have our building inspector go out during different phases of the project. So if something like that were to come up, that's something that the developer would have to address at that time.
Okay, but that might be a little too late, because like the contract is a contract that it has to be determined firsthand, and then go out there and build it, right? So just to be aware of it. Other one is that when I went there to visit the sites, it would be helpful to kind of like develop the sidewalk, you know, like beautify the area, because there's a very few trees on Stevens, right? And that it would be good for the city, and then it would be good for the community developer to kind of like chip in and then partner with the city to beautify the city.
Correct, and there are some conditions that actually address that with the condition number 63D, which calls out sidewalk and parkway improvements. So it does say if any part of the sidewalk was to be happen to be damaged, it would have to either be replaced or repaired by the developer. Additionally, they're requiring to construct new concrete sidewalks and public right-of-way improvements, including those landscaping and street trees, per the Valley Boulevard specific plan standards.
Yes, that's great, but again, it has to be on the plan. It has to be agreed upon before we issue the permits.
Yes, and let me find, there is a.
What I'm trying to say is like, it has to be on the plan, meaning it's like, okay, let's have it like 3 trees planted in front of your properties or adjacent to your properties, like what you guys have it as like the street lights, right? It call it out clearly. You have to install 3 pedestrian lights, just like that.
Anthony, aren't there landscape plans part of this package that we were given?
Yes, and there is going to be this is a preliminary landscape plan, so a more developed landscape plan with the irrigation details are going to be required for building plan check. That's something that's checked as well. But all the right-of-way improvements have to be shown on the plan unless it's something that happens during the construction phase in which they have to address at that time.
Okay, Vice Chair, no further.
Okay, thank you. Anthony, can we hear from the developer, please?
Sure.
Good evening, Vice Chair and member of the Planning Commission. My name is Eric Zhang. I'm the architect for this project and also representing the developer tonight. So there are a couple questions that I'd like to clarify. So first, regarding the conditions, we have reviewed and accepts the recommended conditions of approval listed out on the staff report. And any conditions on that list will be reflected on the plan before we submit to the building plan check. And planning department usually would check against conditions to make sure that it is shown on the plan. And we worked with the city architect and the landscape architect on this project, and project will be heard in front of the design review committee in a future date, as mentioned by Anthony. So we work with them on the design of this project, and any comments they give us, we'll work with them. And I think Commissioner has a question about HOA fees okay.
Yeah, I just was asking about homeowner fees. It would be relevant to another question I would have about the affordable housing agreement.
Okay. Yeah, but for the HOA fees, there should be a HOA fee, but they have not been determined yet at this point. Yeah, so I don't know how much it will be and like that. So, but other than that, I'm here to answer any other questions that you may have. Thank you.
Any questions for the developer?
Yes, quick questions.
Go ahead.
Going back to the contemporary design, is that what the developer wants to go with?
Yes. So before I took over this project, it's already a contemporary design, and there are much more contemporary, modern design in the city nowadays, comparing to a couple years before. And actually, there's a couple projects that's around the area is already contemporary design. And this property is not within, I mean, it's within a neighborhood with mixtures of architectural style. So I think it's a good opportunity to propose something new to the city. Yeah, so that's my point of view on the architectural style.
Okay. So in my own opinion, right? So it might not it might not go with what the single room machine. So like kind of like what the San Gabriel is all about, right? So
Yeah, well, I mean, for the projects I did a project on Arroyo, and on that street, there's a lot more Spanish-style architecture, and because of that, the new developments we proposed there is also in Spanish style with applicable architectural elements. But I mean, again, this neighborhood is not the same as the Mission District architectural style. Yeah.
another follow-up is the parking for the guests. Just wanna give you a little suggestions,
Okay.
just like we think about the two parking spaces that you have, one against the wall, probably would be very hard for them to get in and out of there. So maybe like move around somewhere or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll look into that, and we did actually work with I think it's Public Works Engineering to try to give more space, and it's
Sure.
actually one of the comment that the city architect gave us to increase the parking stall width,
Sure.
which we did. But thanks for the comment, and we'll look into it again, and hopefully we can get more space
Sure,
for that parking
sure.
space. Yeah.
And the other one is a little concerning about that, the setback, right? I think that is the main thing, it brought it to us, right? The setback, 1.6 feet, right? That, for me, is very hard for me to visualize, like, the elevation difference right, you have kind of like the first level, and then you have maybe a drop,
Um,
1.6 feet.
No, so the reduction on the setback, I think it's easier if I explain it per level. So we're just asking for reduction for the basement level. So the first floor and the second floor will meet the setback requirement of 10 feet.
It's not quite 10 feet, right? Because like you have that setback calculated into the 10 feet.
No, the first floor, the ground floor, and the second
9 feet and 6 inches or something like that, or if I remember correctly. That's okay.
Okay.
We're not gonna go into that,
Yeah,
but my
but-
question is, when you are designing that elevation difference, right? You consider the maintenance, right? What's gonna happen with the basement if you have to do the maintenance, or like there should, you also have to think about kind of like the work site area that needed for constructions, if you have to go in there and do some like a break-in or something, right? And then what about the for emergency vehicles or emergency personnel to respond to, or for fire escape route or something? Like that's for me is a little concerning to have that, like.
Yeah, so there's gonna be a driveway going down on one side, and the other side is gonna be stairs going up to the walkway for pedestrians. But all those concerns will be reviewed by the building official or building plan checker, and fire department, to make sure that we meet all the fire code or the building code requirements before they approve the project.
Sure.
So, yeah, but again, the setback reduction is only for the basement, and it's because of the basement that is actually about 2 feet higher than the
Street
street
level?
level.
I think 4 feet or something like that, no? Something like
Let me
that.
check.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 feet, yeah. So that's the area, the portion of the basement that we're asking for reduction. But on visual, when you walk the site, you're not gonna be able to see that encroachment because it's gonna be on like the floor of on the ground floor, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like, I just having a hard time to visualize.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's a 4 feet higher than the ground level, and then you have that first level, and then the stairs, and then so I just want to make sure that, like we are providing enough room for emergency like response team, and that if there is a emergency for the occupants to escape, right? We don't have any like obstacle in the way.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions of the developer? All right.
I just have a comment. Thank you for investing your time and treasure in building in San Gabriel.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll hear from you on the next item as well. Thank you. Okay, it's time for public comment. Is there anybody who has a comment, public comment on, there are speaker cards for item A, 1526 Stevens Avenue. Okay. All right, public comment is closed. Jackie, have we received any emails or anything on this item?
No, we did not, Chair.
Thank you very much. Okay. It's time for commission discussion and deliberation. So, anybody want to open the discussion?
I didn't find anything objectionable to this project.
All right, thank you very much. That's I'd have to say I feel the same way. I thought this was a pretty straightforward project, and that for the benefit of the community to have an affordable unit out of the 5 in here is a real plus for the project. So it's the trade-off for they're requesting certain changes to the map, and it makes sense to me at least. So, okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I just wanted to swing back and had a question about the, because I'm learning how the covenants work and the affordable housing agreements work. When the sale of the houses, I see so there's a definition on, this is page 4 of the affordable housing agreement at the very top. It says total housing costs, and it lays out what that means, and there's homeowners association dues and other things. How does that play into the affordable sale? Are homeowner association fees paid at the regular rate as what everyone else in the unit pays, or are those also adjusted to the affordable income of that particular household?
Generally speaking, if I may, Chair, generally speaking, the homeowner or association fees are not reduced, but they are included in the total cost. In other words, the affordability component is measured by how much money per month that person will spend, including the homeowner association fees.
Oh, okay.
So that equation is made once all the costs are known, and then through that equation, you identify the eligible buyers.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And I just wanted to say too, I appreciate that you're utilizing the density bonus and providing some much needed affordable units here in the city. I don't have any objections to the project, but I certainly respect the commissioner's comments throughout. So, but that's all I have to say on the project. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? If not, I'd be happy to take someone to make a motion to approve
I will move to
item
approve.
3A. Thank you. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. We have a second. Okay. Jackie, can we have roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner Krapman,
Yes.
Commissioner McMorris,
Yes.
Vice Chair Schwartz.
Yes.
The vote is 4-0, motion passed.
Thank you. Okay. Item 3B is 1515 Stevens Avenue. The applicant planning case is T-map number 2209, tentative track map. The applicant is the same, Eric Chang. Presentation this time will be made by Christine Song, Senior Planner.
Thank you, Vice Chair, and good evening, members of the Commission. My name is Christine Song, Senior Planner with the Community Development Department. The item before you tonight is probably going to look a little familiar to the last. This is a request for the approval of a tentative track map to allow the development of a 5-unit condominium subdivision at 1515 Stevens Avenue, planning case number T-map 22-009. The project site is located along the west side of Stevens Avenue between South New Avenue and Prospect Avenue. The site is bordered by multifamily residences in all directions with the same zoning designations. The property is currently developed with one single-family residence, a duplex, and a detached garage at the rear, which are all proposed to be demolished for the construction of the project. The subject property is zoned RNC for residential neighborhood conservation within the Valley Boulevard specific plan area with an underlying zoning designation of R3 and has a general plan land use designation of high-density residential. This is an image of the proposed tentative tract map, which would allow for the subdivision to sell each of the 5 units individually. The proposed project complies with all of the R3 development standards in terms of density, lot coverage, building height, parking, and open space. However, the project requests 2 concessions for reduced side and rear setbacks for the semi-subterranean parking garage as permitted by the state density bonus law in exchange for providing 20% affordable housing units within the project. So the state density bonus law, which is California Government Code Section 65915, allows up to 2 development concessions when a project provides 20% affordability at the moderate income level. The project proposes a total of 5 units, 4 market rate and 1 moderate income affordable unit, which totals of 20%. The developer is required to cite identifiable cost reductions for providing the affordable housing units, and the developer is eligible for the incentives or concessions without actually providing a density bonus. The applicant for the project provided a concession request letter, which was provided as attachment B in the staff report, and it detailed reduced construction costs associated with the proposed semi-subterranean parking garage. Staff has reviewed the concession request and found that the concessions are required to allow for the construction of the project at the proposed density with the affordable housing unit. The general plan land use designation for the site is high-density residential, which allows for multifamily residential development in the R3 zone, and the proposed project would meet housing goals 2.1 and 2.2 of the general plan. The project was reviewed for compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act. The project is exempt per guideline section 15332, class 32 infill development. The public notification for this meeting was provided through mailed notices to all the property owners and tenants within a 500-foot radius. Notice posted at project site, agendas posted at City Hall, the post office, and the public library, and it was advertised in the San Gabriel Sun on April 27th. Subdivision Map Act Section 66473 requires that the city deny approval of a tentative map if any of the required findings are made for denial. Based on the application, staff was unable to make any of the findings for a denial. With that, staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt the resolution to approve planning case number TMAP 22-009 for a tentative tract map, number 83926 at 1515 Stevens Avenue, to allow the development of a 5-unit condominium subdivision, subject to the recommended conditions of approval. This concludes staff's presentation. The project applicant, who is also the project architect, is available for questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So before we go open to other commissioners, this is basically sort of the same, it's the same project, sort of same design, same size parcel.
Generally, yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any questions of the senior planner? Okay, seeing none, we should hear from the developer again on this project, please.
Hello again. Sorry. Yeah. So we did review the conditions approval, and we accept the conditions approval for this project as well. And this site actually have some existing trees. I think Commissioner Lee was referring to before. 4 of them are fruit trees. They're 6-inch smaller trees, and 1 of them is 20-inch southern magnolia. Because of that, we propose 1 replacement tree in the front yard which is a 36-inch box tree. The species is a fruitless olive, in replace of the magnolia tree that we're removing. And yeah, here to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions of the developer?
Yes, Vice Chair, quick questions.
Go ahead, Commissioner. Hay.
Eric, you mentioned that the replacement tree is in your front yard?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
Is there a possibility that you took out 4 trees, right? So you only replace it with 1? Is there a possibility that like you can partner with the city to plant a little bit more on the sidewalk?
Yes, that's possible if the Public Works have condition for it. So we can't just propose a tree on the sidewalk.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, but other than the 36-inch box tree, we do have a couple of the 24-inch trees, but it's more like hedges in the back of the property.
Okay.
We have 9 of those, and also 4 strawberry tree on a pot in the open area in the back. So, yeah.
Okay, no further. But I just want to make sure that, you know, like, the same comments goes to the, this case as well, because like, that, you know, like a little, you know, the subterranean and, you know, like a basement is a little, in my eyes, a little,
Okay,
yeah.
got it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, Commissioner, this is Commissioner McMorris. Yeah, I was just following up on Commissioner Lee's. Is it because there won't be any more room where the removal of those additional trees are, that there's no more room to replace those trees? Or is that just a choice to not replace them?
Well, we did replace with a lot of plants, not necessarily trees. But we can look into switching some of those plants into trees. That's one possible way to add more trees. But the 4 trees that we're removing are the fruit trees, which we're also replacing with fruit trees.
All 4, you're replacing all 4 of those trees, though? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
Okay.
because we have 4 fruit trees that we're proposing on the new landscape plan.
Okay, yeah, I love trees and foliage, so the more the better, but I thought you were removing 4 and only replacing 1, but it sounds like you're replacing all of the ones you're.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
but just one of the trees more significant because of the size.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just, the last thing I'll just say is again, I think that, appreciate you bringing some affordable housing, and I think it looks like from the attachment B here, that the project probably wouldn't pencil out if you weren't able to utilize the density bonus.
Yes.
So that's what it's there for, and you know, it's working in that sense. So just wanted to point that out. So, but thank you for your
Thank you.
project. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McMorris. Anything else? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. This is the opportunity for public comment on this item. Do we have any speakers?
Vice Chair, we received one from Mr. Ralph Ramirez.
Hi, my name is Ralph Ramirez, and I'm the neighbor of that property on the north side. If you noticed on that aerial picture, on the north side of 1515 Stevens Avenue, there's quite a few trees there, fruit trees and palms, and basically we created a nice paradise there when that property used to be owned by another owner. And I was listening to how the underground parking is going to be set back to close proximity to my property on the north side. It looks like the driveway is on the south side. Is that correct? The driveway on the new construction is going to be on the south side of the property.
Christine, can you?
And so the setback for the parking, it appears to me that it's going to be in close proximity to my property. So I imagine that when they start digging, it's going to probably destroy all the greenery on my property. And that's one thing I'm concerned about is that how is that going to be addressed? Also, on the back of my property, on the west side of my property, which is away from Stevens Avenue, on that side, there's a natural water flow that goes from north to south. And right now, there's a chain link fence there. So the water just flows naturally. But if they put a block wall there and don't allow for the drain, then basically the water is just going to puddle on my property. There won't be anywhere for the water to go. And also the other thing on the street trees, that property used to have a street tree. The previous resident, which I'm not sure if that was the owner or not, they intentionally killed the tree with pouring something on it because all the grass was dry. So there was a tree there. It's not like there never was a tree. There was a tree, but it was killed. So that definitely needs to be replaced. And so my main concern is the water flow, and also what's going to happen to on my property when they start digging and just start tearing out all the roots.
You're on the south side?
I'm on the north side.
You're on the north side.
Yeah. If you look at the aerial picture, you can see all the greenery there. It took us over 30 years to turn that into a green space, because when we got there, it was basically just soil. Nothing was planted there.
I'm looking at the drawings, and the trees to be removed are all on the south side.
Yes, on 1515. But on the property next to it, which is my property, which is 1509, the property adjacent to 1515, that's where we have many trees and plants on 1509. And so when they dig right on the property line, the trees don't, the tree roots don't stop on the property line. They don't respect property line. The tree roots just grow wherever they grow. And so I expect that when they start digging, it's basically gonna turn my south side into a deadscape. And I just want to know what.
Is there any way we can bring up the aerial?
Chair, there is a time limit on public comment, just as a reminder.
Yes.
Okay, well, I said about everything I need to say. I just want to know how they're going to address it. You see all the trees on the north side, all the green. That's all my property.
Those trees are on your property?
Yes, all the green on the north side is on my property. The red line is basically on my roof almost. It's on my roof.
Okay,
So
we'll
the
let-
red line is not
Sir-
representative.
Sir,
Yes.
Mr. Ramirez, we'll let the senior planner
Okay.
respond. Thank you.
Members of the commission, I typically with construction on one property that shouldn't impact landscaping on the adjacent properties, that could be a condition of approval we can include, that an arborist report may be provided to ensure the safety of those existing trees during construction. And I'm not sure if the applicant might have additional information about construction impacts.
You can see the red lines over my roof on the left side, that's the upper.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Go ahead.
Yes, I think condition of approval for arborist report will help. But during construction, we will have, before construction, we will have a shoring plan prepared by a structural engineer to show that the soil for the neighbor before the construction. And also, we have a little bit of setback, 18-inch setback from the property line. I'm not sure if that will help, but yeah, I agree with the conditions to provide arborist report. Yeah, and the water flow that he mentioned, if I understand correctly, he's saying that the water from his property is currently going through the property line and drain south side through our through this subject property.
That's what it sounds like, yes.
Okay. That might be something that we need to work with engineering of the city, and I think some kind of grading will need to be done on their side property to make sure the water doesn't go through the subject property anymore, but I don't know how that works.
Well, it looks like you have a masonry wall
Yeah,
running along the borders and
yeah, but that would make his water pond, that area. Yeah. So, I don't know.
I'm not sure if it's running down.
The natural flow is down, it flows down.
North to south,
Flows down south, yeah, from the top,
so
flows down.
your water's running
So
on
it's,
his
so it's,
property.
yeah, that's a natural flow, it's a natural flow.
Okay.
So it's not
So-
like all the water goes there.
So it just goes one direction? It
Yeah,
doesn't go?
the street slopes down. In other
Okay.
words, all the water in the street, everything flows
Uh-huh.
from the top down to Valley Boulevard.
Well,
It drains into
that's
town.
going to be,
Well, because this construction is going to be on the subject property, can do works on the neighbor's property.
Yes, Vice Chair and members of the commission, as a recommendation from staff, a condition of approval can be included, that site drainage, both on-site and relative to the adjacent property, be evaluated by the Public Works Department. Sometimes if drainage has to be provided, there are items such as weep holes within walls to provide that, but as far as the mechanism and how that would be designed, that is something that the Public Works Department can take a look at as part of their review of the grading and drainage and excavation and shoring plans.
okay.
That's where I was thinking, you put holes in the wall, leave that bottom red.
And how about the problem with the trees, all the trees that are probably gonna die when you dig.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ramirez. We're trying to address those.
And also the street tree, we're okay with the replacement. Yeah, and so,
Thank you, sir.
okay. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just had a
Okay.
question.
You have a question?
I didn't hear an answer. Is it gonna be looked into the trees?
Well, yeah, if I can, I had a question about that. What is it that, no, I understand that it's different properties, but is there, I guess my question is, I mean, I don't know what you can do if his roots are on your property. I'm sure you probably can do what you want, but is there a way that you can try to prevent damage to the trees on his property and the foliage whatsoever, the type of foliage that he has there, in order to maintain that? Do you have options? Are there things that can be done, or is that something that you're willing to try and do, or not?
So I'm willing to work with an arborist to identify the trees on site, and because some trees, they have the roots that grows downward, and some trees that have the roots that spreads out, and hopefully they don't spread out that much, and we're able to preserve that. But in the event of some trees being damaged, maybe we can look into like replacement trees on the neighbor side, and yeah.
Yeah, my suggestion is that you guys talk to each other.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
try to work something out, where you can keep the trees or replace the trees or find something is mutually acceptable.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for considering
thank
that.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Vice Chair, if I may, my comments would be the city staff to look into like resolving the issues that the residents bring forward, right? The drainage issue would be the most important thing. And the trees, in my opinions, it is too close to the property lines. It is the nature of the constructions, right? So when you start demoing and digging, you will damage the roots. But it would be nice that, you know, the subject constructions manager and the adjacent property owners work out something to replace or to, you know, like, do something about the you know, the tree damages, right? And also the missing tree on the sidewalk. I really like to see a missing tree being replanted.
All right, thank you. All right, anything else for the developer? Okay. Do we have any other public comments on this item?
No,
Any other
no, we
videos?
don't.
Any other speakers? Okay. Then the public comment period is closed. Jackie, did we get anything by email on this item?
No, I was going to add, no, we did not.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, it's an opportunity for staff discussion and deliberation. Would anybody like to kick this off? Okay. I think, again, this is a similar project to the last one, and the issue of working with your neighbor, especially if there are tree root issues and there are drainage issues, is important. And I think that condition that Samantha mentioned, I think we should include that as an additional condition of approval. And so when we hopefully have a motion, the motion should be including that additional condition of approval, from my standpoint.
I agree.
So, anybody else would like to speak on the item? Commissioner Kratman, go ahead, if you'd like to say anything.
I agree with you. I move to approve the project on condition that there's an arborist report. There are all reasonable attempts are made to manage the drainage and the landscaping on the north side of the property.
Okay, thank you. Let me just make sure Commissioner McMorris and Commissioner Lee have a chance to speak as well.
I appreciate it. I don't have any other comments. I agree with the motion that's made.
Okay, Commissioner Lee?
I would just want to add that the sidewalk, a tree on the sidewalk, be added.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to Commissioner Kratman's motion? I'll second it.
Just a clarifying question. For the sidewalk part, that would be on the city's end, right? Because that's city property, or how, I'm just wondering if Commissioner Lee's addition, is that in this motion as well, or is that a separate motion or something the city will look at?
The motion made by Commissioner Kratman addressed an arborist report and the drainage. If there is a recommended amendment to add in a condition specifically addressing a sidewalk tree, then Commissioner Kratman would have to agree to that amendment. And then there would be a second, whether to move forward with the 2 recommended conditions or the 3 recommended conditions.
There's currently a tree on the parkway, and I would not want to step on the toes of Public Works, who's got to manage this. I'm not familiar enough to add that in, and I also don't want to pile on with additional requirements.
So there is a motion with the two recommended conditions.
And a second.
And a second, yeah.
Okay, who seconded?
Commissioner,
So, aye.
Okay. All right, Jackie, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Commissioner Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner Krapman,
Yes?
Commissioner McMorris,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Schwartz.
Yes,
The vote is 4-0, motion passed.
thank you. Thank you. Good luck with these projects, and please make sure you guys are a good neighbor. All right. Okay, we have item C. It is 222 versus -300 West Las Tunas Avenue, planning case number CUP 2201, conditional use permit. The applicant is Ron Vativan and Serena Chang. And Anthony, you're up again.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Good evening again, Vice Chair and Commissioners. So the last public hearing item before you tonight is for a conditional use permit for a reduced shared parking reduction at the address 222 West Las Tunas Drive, planning case number CUP 22-001. The project site is located at the intersection of Las Tunas and San Marino Avenue. 222 West Las Tunas is located on the southeast corner of that intersection. And the site that is also going to be mentioned during this report is located directly across the street to the west at 300 West Las Tunas Drive. This is just a Google Street View of the subject site, currently occupied by the Leah Dance. And the property is zone C1 for commercial retail. The other project, or the other site, is located at 300 West Las Tunas, and that is actually within the Mission District Specific Plan area and is zone C-1, C-1M for the marketplace zone. This side shows a site plan of the subject site. As you can see, the lot to the east is the one that we will be talking about tonight. This is currently occupied by the Laya Dance Studio. That corner building on the northwest corner is where they had the dance studio. And the L-shaped building going on the southeast corner of the project site is where they would have the audio recording studio and the music hall. To the left of the site plan is across the street at the 300 West Las Tunas Drive, which just has the 28 parking spaces that are currently required based on a previous condition of approval that was approved. And to go into that a little bit is the history of the project site. So just a quick run through of this. On March 14th, 2011, the Planning Commission approved a CUP, planning case number PL-10-122, to allow educational use or a dance studio with the applicant at that time being Shin Dance Academy. Over the years, Shin Dance Academy moved out. We had another applicant that had, or another tenant that had moved in, but then they also moved out at the end of 2013. During 2014, a minor modification was requested and approved per the project applicant to reduce one of the parking space required. And the reason for that was because at the July 14, 2014 meeting, the Planning Commission approved an amendment to the existing CUP, PL 10-122, to allow for professional offices and a sound studio use in what used to be automobile repair garages, the L-shaped building on the 222 West Las Tunas site. But additionally with that, in order to get the use approved, the applicant needed to provide required parking. They were deficient on the required parking, so they acquired the site located at 300 West Las Tunas, and per the Mission District specific plan, requires that any kind of parking facility use on a subject site that is serving another site that's not located within that site requires CUP. So that was also approved on July 14, 2014. And then finally, at the end of 2014 is when Laya International Performing Arts Foundation, the current owner and tenant, took the space over and has been operating there since. So the images above are just some of the images that are taken from the interior of the site. So the image to the left is from Building A, which is that corner building, and this is that dance studio area. The building would continue to operate as a studio that could be rented out for dance rehearsals, exhibitions, production events, and other performing arts related uses. Building B, which an image of the interior is shown to the right, is that L-shaped building and approximately a little over 9,000 square feet in size. So currently it's being utilized as a sound recording studio and a music hall. The image to the right is that sound recording area or that audio recording area. And then these images shown here are just some additional images of that building B. So this is where the music hall is, and this is just an image of that area. So that would continue to operate as is. So this slide shows the area. So we have 4 different columns on here, and the initial column is just what the building space is, then it shows the square footage, then it shows the number of parking spaces that were required in the 2014 Planning Commission meeting, which was 62. And then as requested by the applicant is looking to actually change the use of Building A, the dance studio, to a professional arts-related use or an art studio, which, as you could see on the table above, when a dance studio was proposed originally and just a dance studio with classes being operated or classes being held throughout the week at a set time, it was 1 parking space per 150 square feet, which would have ended up at that time requiring 32 parking spaces. However, as proposed currently by the applicant, it would be 1 space per 300 square feet, which would only be 16 parking spaces. So as you see, as we added up, they would require 46 parking spaces. However, 222 West Las Tunas only has 31. So that's the reason why the applicant is requesting the shared parking reduction of the 40%, which would require only 28 parking spaces. So they would actually, the applicant or the tenant would actually have an excess and would not need the full 40% reduction for this site to operate the way that the applicant is proposing. So this project was found to be consistent with the following goals of the general plan. Just going through those, that's land use goal 1.11, mobility goal 3.2, and economic goal 4.1. This project was reviewed for the compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, and found to be exempt per guideline section 15301, class 1 for existing facilities. So in order for the Planning Commission to approve a shared parking reduction, the following findings had to be made. So this is something that was included in the resolution or attachment A of the project packet tonight, and found that all 4 of these findings could be made. Noticing was required for the project tonight in the following ways. mailed notices were sent to property owners and tenants within a 500-foot radius of the subject site, as well as having the notice posted at the job site. You can see it posted on the window above. Notice was also posted in the issue of the San Gabriel Sun on April 27, 2023, and had the agendas posted at the San Gabriel City Hall, San Gabriel Post Office, Public Library, and on the website. It is with that staff recommends that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution of the Planning Commission of the City of San Gabriel, California, approving planning case number CUP 22-001 for a conditional use permit to allow a shared parking reduction for a proposed art center located at the address 222 West Las Tunas Drive, subject to the recommended conditions of approval. This will conclude staff's presentation at this time. Staff's available for any questions that you might have, and we also have members of the applicant team here as well. Thank you.
So Anthony, before we have this went from a dance studio to neither of these users have current tenants right now.
So currently, the Serena Chang is the property owner of the site, and sorry, it wasn't mentioned, but she actually provided a applicant summary of the site and how it would operate. In that, she states that she will still own the site, and she's the sole operator of the site. So she'll rent it out to the different uses, as mentioned before, the anything performance arts related. If they wanted to use it for rehearsals or dance studio, they would rent it out, but it wouldn't be leased out to tenants. It would be one owner operating that whole site and managing that whole site.
Okay, thank you. Questions of Anthony from any of the other, from the commissioners?
Anthony, just trying to understand, the applicant is applying to reduce the parking space requirements. Is that what we're trying to do? Are they still keeping the 2 lots, or they are thinking about selling another lot and then developing it, or what's the change?
Yeah, thank you for that question. And that's something that I'm glad you brought up. And we have the applicant here that could also go into more detail on it, but the whole thing is that the applicant purchased this property in 2014 in order to provide that parking. But over the years, the applicant stated that that parking lot has gone unused. And I think she has mentioned that it even attracts people of homeless status. So the applicant has made comment about possibly redeveloping that site in the future. But that's something that would be later on. There haven't been any plans submitted for something like that yet. But if this is approved and basically getting rid of the tie between 222 West Las Tunas and 300 West Las Tunas, then the applicant has made comments about possibly redeveloping, yes.
So based on your city analysis on the workable parking spaces, right, for this type of business, do you find that it is enough just eliminating the other parking lot, right, and then having just a one parking lot? Is that enough?
Yes, and we worked with the applicant actually for a little while. We wanted to make sure that this was something that would work, and of course this was reviewed by our Public Works Department as well, who didn't view any issues with it. But we did add a condition of approval that stated, let me actually get it, I want to make sure that I state it correctly. Rental time, so the different uses on site, so the music hall, the dance studio, sound studio, audio recording studio shall not be rented out at the same time in order to prevent any overlapping parking concerns. So prior to occupancy, the applicant has to submit a staggered hours of operation plan to the Community Development Department that will be reviewed on an annual basis. And the reasoning for that is that we want to make sure that, again, those uses are not overlapping with each other, and then as a result, having parking flood out onto the streets or anything like that. We want to make sure that it's one use at a time, or however the case may be, to limit the parking concerns.
Thank you
Other
for all your
questions?
work. It's very thorough.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, please.
It's all very thorough.
Thank you.
And just, it's not a question, it's more of a comment. I've been going by this property since I was 5 years old and swimming at Smith Park under George Young. That property was kind of a dump, and it's really improved. The current owner has really taken good care of it and is thriving there. That lot across the street is always empty except for homeless. There is a liquor store across the street and things like that, so it makes it very convenient for them, and nobody's there. It used to be a used car lot or something like that. So I've never seen any parking there. I've never seen any parking on the street. I've never seen any overflow. So as a practical matter, that parking lot is lying fallow and has been lying fallow for years. So it should be put to better use, is my general opinion.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else with questions for Anthony? Okay, thank you. Can we hear from the actual applicant representatives, please?
Good evening. My name is Serena Chen. I'm the owner for property at 222 West Las Tunas Drive. Actually, I bought this property back in 2011, but I was not experienced with how to get a permit to run the studio. At that time, we were trying to have a dance studio and also have a music hall and sound studio. So I didn't have the knowledge of how to make this work. So we went to the city and applied for a license. And later on, we were told that we had to get enough parking spaces by using the adjacent lot at 300 as collateral. So during this period of time, the past 10 years, most of the time the property was empty at 300. And I think it's a waste to have that property not being able to use for a better meaningful purpose. And this location actually, I would say it's a jewel. It's located at the beginning of the Mission District. So I was trying to make this property in accordance with what Mission District requires. I mean, a place with culture and art. So this couple of years, I've been trying to make this place as an art center. We don't run the dance studio anymore, and it's not appropriate. So we have a music hall, we have sound studio, we also have dance studio, but our purpose is to rent to professional people who need the spaces for cultural activities. And if we are able to use adjacent lot for a better purpose and not to waste it, we would like to build something meaningful for the city of San Gabriel to in compliance with what we have, such a wonderful mission district there, because it's the beginning of the mission district. So with the art center and also a nice, I don't know what I'm going to do, probably I have to think what is best suited for that adjacent lot. because this lot has been used for homeless shelter, and which I think is a waste. And as you can see, our parking space is always empty, because when we rent to those professional people, they usually come during the weekend. They shoot photos, they have movie productions. We have attracted a lot of people from Hollywood too, and also UCLA graduate school, they do the filming. So I think this place, I named that as a art center. I named that as the International Performing Arts Fund, because I also have a foundation. So it's called the Art Center. I named that after my mom's name, because she was an art lover. So I don't know, because in the past 10 years, dealing with the city was a very difficult situation due to the required parking spaces. And we had no choice by having to use the property at 300 as collateral. So we have wasted a lot of time and wasted a lot of money in just maintaining that property without being able to do anything at all. So I was so frustrated, and it took such a long time to get this healing eventually. I'm so happy that commissioners would have this kind of understanding to help us build this beautiful art center at the beginning of that Mission District, and also help us later on to build another place at 300 West Las Tunas Drive. And thank you so much for all the understanding, and I think we can all make this work to benefit City of San Gabriel and also Mission District. Thank you.
Wait just a second, in case there are any questions from the commission.
No question, Vice Chair, no question, but just a quick comment. Thank you for making the place so beautiful. I pass by it every day. So beautiful. You guys been planning landscaping, and that's beautiful.
Yes.
Quick question to the staff. If there is a change of ownership or change of the business type, land use, how are we going to address parking requirement?
I don't think I'm going to sell this property. This is leased forever. I have a foundation to support this property, and it will be there, I would say, for generations to come.
Okay, thank you.
Just in case, just for the record. Thank you, Commissioner Lee. So I know the owner, Ms. Chang, has stated that she doesn't want to sell the property, but if something like that were to ever happen, the conditional use permit actually stays with the land. So if somebody wants to come and utilize the same space for the same kind of use, they would still be able to. However, if somebody came in and decided they wanted to open up something that was completely different, like let's say a restaurant, then we would have to look at those parking requirements for a restaurant. So we would have to evaluate it based on the change of use. Yeah, but just for the record, just if it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. It's time for public comment. Are there any, did anybody turn in a card for this item?
I did not receive any card or email. Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right, the public comment is closed. It's time for commission deliberation and discussion. Who would like to begin? Commissioner Lee, would you like to begin?
Sure. I think observing, I live close by, and then observing the situation, parking situation, I have no objection to it.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner McMorris?
Yeah, it seems to make sense. I see that, traffic analysis was done there, and the numbers come out, and obviously whatever, if they decide to put something in that other lot, that'll come before us with certain requirements and be approved or not based on that. So I also walk by this property almost nightly on my nightly walk. It's nice to see the people who own these properties and do business here, so that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Kratman?
I agree with my colleagues.
All right, and I agree as well. I think this situation makes sense, especially with well-maintained and properties as they are, so. Okay, is there a motion, would anybody like to make a motion on this item?
I move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Kratman. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner McMorris seconds. Okay, can we have a vote, Jackie?
Commissioner Lee,
Aye.
Commissioner Kratman,
Yes.
Commissioner McMorris,
Aye.
and Vice Chair Schwartz.
Yeah, aye,
Vote is 4-0, motion passed.
thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, good luck to you. All right. Now, with these items being done, it's opportunity, Samantha, it's an opportunity for you to address the commission on any matters of information or concern that you'd like to.
Yes, Vice Chair, there are no updates from staff.
Okay. All right. Okay. Commissioners, opportunity for comments. Any commissioner comments?
Yeah, I just want to thank staff again for all their hard work. These things get complicated sometimes, so appreciate everything you do.
Ditto.
Yes. I would agree as well. Commissioner Lee, anything?
I'm glad to be here.
All right, thank you. Okay, seeing no other items, we will adjourn the Planning Commission meeting to the next regular meeting, which will be on Monday, June 10th at 6:30 here at City Hall. So, meeting is now adjourned.